A Tim Hortons in Picton, Ontario is the center of a disturbing investigation involving alleged arranged child marriage and immigration fraud. When I reported on this, the franchise owner called the police, not to investigate the serious crimes and allegations, but to accuse me, a journalist who'd left peacefully, of trespassing. Now, the Ontario Provincial Police are reviewing the conduct of the officer who handled the call, raising questions about police priorities and whether law enforcement is being misused to intimidate journalists exposing criminal activity. Let's dig in.
You tell him that she has all the right to be here. I'm not going to entertain that. You tell that to Mohammed. I'm sorry if I'm being crass with you, but you relay that to Mohammed that I'm not even entertaining that portion of it, of this lady being here.
Last week, I did a story that went viral showing damning evidence of an arranged child marriage and immigration fraud happening at Tim Hortons in Picton, Ontario. One of the managers, who has since been fired, was offering a 17-year-old vulnerable child employee $15,000 to $20,000 to marry her 25-year-old Indian brother so that he could obtain permanent residency. And text message evidence proves it. The allegations are not only a moral disgrace, but criminal, as they could amount to things like child sexual exploitation, human trafficking and procurement offenses, bribery and extortion, document and immigration fraud, and conspiracy to circumvent Canada's immigration laws. Offering money to coerce or arrange a marriage involving a vulnerable 17-year-old is textbook exploitation of a minor and may meet the statutory definition of sexual trafficking. Promising residency in exchange for a sham marriage is classic immigration fraud and misrepresentation. And any falsified documents or coordinated schemes to hide the truth would add forgery and conspiracy charges. If these allegations are true, they don't just shame the individuals and the employer. They point to multiple serious criminal offenses under Canadian law and to urgent obligations for law enforcement and immigration authorities to investigate. So when I was in Picton gathering evidence and investigating this disturbing story, I went into the location to inquire if I could marry the manager's brother for $20,000. I heard I could make $20,000 if I wanted to marry the manager's brother here. Can I start that process?
I don't have any comments on that.
You have no comments on it? So is it true or not?
I'm not sure.
Pardon me?
No comments on that.
No comments. So you're saying it's potentially true then by not saying it's not true. No comment. Are you the manager?
No.
No?
Okay. She's the lady. She's okay.
That's the one that's offering $20,000 to marry her brother? You're not sure? No? Okay. Thanks anyway. It was a cheeky way for me to allow them to dispel the accusation and provide a comment. Now, instead, they clung to no comment. This interaction lasted roughly a minute, and I left on my own accord without incident. Then I went outside and I interviewed Matt Monroe. He's the uncle of the 17-year-old child who's sounding the alarm on what he describes on a calculated scheme to exploit his vulnerable niece for an immigration scheme that involves coercion, cash offers, and a disturbing disregard for the law.
The police are involved. I called and I was trying to get some updates on that. It was a little bit of a time before I got an update, so that's again why I made this post, to make it aware. I really wanted to put pressure on the owner, Tim Hortons, to do an investigation, look at what's going on, but also for the OPP to kind of be like, hey, I'm not letting this go. This needs to be dealt with.
Well, there I gathered video of both inside and outside of the location to use in the report. This is necessary to give viewers critical visual context, establishing the setting of the alleged events, and provide transparency about where and how this story unfolded. I filmed inside the location for roughly another minute and left, again, on my own accord, without incident. I went back outside to wrap up with some of the protesters who were there, including exchanging contact information with ones who claimed to have had similar shocking experiences, not only with this location, but another one in Wellington, approximately 15 minutes away. It turns out that this Picton fraud may be a microcosm of a larger scheme that is happening across multiple fast food chains, involving alleged arranged marriages, exploitation of foreign workers, and immigration fraud, facilitated by management insiders. What began as a single disturbing report is now unraveling into what could be a coordinated multi-location network of abuse and criminal activity. So as I was wrapping up the report, 2 Ontario provincial police cruisers showed up, and I considered this to be a perfect opportunity to inquire about an investigation into these disturbing allegations. Naturally, I waltzed up to the police and I point blank asked them, "Is this being investigated?" The responding officer confirmed that it was and continued to investigate the reason for their call, which he thought was about one of the protesters who had been trespassed from the property, and he alleged that he had gone back onto and inside of the property. The man in question swore that that wasn't the case, and so the officers went inside to inquire, and I followed behind them to see what this call was all about. Now, keep in mind here that I had already done the report and I was about to go home when these officers arrived. Had they have not been called by the franchise owner, none of the following would have happened.
Call him. The owner called, but he's not here. So he's claiming that that gentleman who was trespassed came into the store.
Not the gentleman, the lady.
What lady?
The one who's running the
Yeah.
private property.
And what's wrong with that?
So he said that no one, like she's trespassing in the private property.
How is she trespassing?
Like he was like standing in the lobby. And
She is an independent journalist. She was never trespassed from this property, and she has her 100% rights to be here. Just because your boss doesn't like the fact that an independent journalist is in here video recording, that's not up to him. She has the right to do that.
I can call him and you can call him.
I'm not gonna, no, I'm not gonna talk to him. You tell him that she has all the right to be here.
Okay.
I'm not gonna entertain that. You tell that to Mohammed. I'm sorry if I'm being crass with you, but you relay that to Mohammed that I'm not even entertaining that portion of it, of this lady being here.
If any media is like,
It doesn't matter. They have all the rights in the world to do it.
You can see in that video, the officers are as surprised as I am that the call was about me, especially considering I had not been asked to leave and I had already left on my own accord and again, without incidents. Not once, but twice. Now, the Trespass to Property Act is clear. Trespass is defined as an offense when a person without legal authority or the occupier's permission either enters or engages in prohibited activities on private premises or refuses to leave immediately when asked by the occupier or their authorized representative. And that a notice can be given orally or in writing or by means of signage. Now, none of that took place. I would say that this blatant misuse of police resources distracts from the broader and more urgent crime involving child exploitation and immigration fraud. Instead of addressing these, officers were sent to handle a baseless trespass claim against me. This wastes taxpayer money and suggests businesses might weaponize police to intimidate journalists rather than face serious allegations. In my opinion, the officer handled the situation professionally and used his discretion appropriately, but OPP East has announced an internal review of the incident, raising concerns about whether this discourages police discretion in such sensitive cases. I sent a media request to Bill Dixon, he's the OPP East Media Relations, seeking clarity on the review and how many police calls are made to this Tim Hortons for things like protesters and journalists on the scene, whether resources are being misused to suppress media scrutiny. Dixon acknowledged the request but did not respond before publication. As this investigation widens, one thing is clear: efforts to silence journalists won't bury the truth. The real story is just beginning to unfold. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Do you think the chaos is just a coincidence? Think again. From child marriage scandals to illegal border crossings, Canada is unraveling under the Liberals' broken immigration system. If you'd like to stay up to date on this kind of reporting, please go to yournewcanada.com. That's our exclusive hub exposing the raw truth on immigration that the mainstream refuses to show. All of that at yournewcanada.com.